Hello, so I am working on a custom book bag, so I figured I haven't done a video in a while for a bag, so I will do a video for this custom book bag. So you'll be learning how to do an internal zipper pocket, a slip pocket, a zipper panel, side pockets, basting your foam instead of ironing it, all kinds of things with this book bag. So let's go over, this is the Minni book bag by Diedelbug, and I'll post the link down below. So let's go over the pieces. I've already prepped my pieces, and here I'm trying out a new label. I printed this off on Craftex and just very carefully sewed it onto my lining piece. So we have two lining pieces. We have two pieces of foam. We're not going to iron them on. We're going to baste them on. And this is one piece, but I'm going to sew this down together and make it, this is two pieces. I'm going to make it one piece. And here is our front bottom, because I'm doing the front pocket, our front top. I'm doing a slip pocket. She wanted a slip pocket on the back, so that is the slip pocket for the back. Nope, I'm sorry. This is the zipper pocket for the front. This is the slip pocket for the back to go with this and this. The back, if you do a slip pocket in the back, it's going to have 4 pieces. So I would not recommend doing it on a domestic if you're going to use vinyl, because that is a lot of pieces. And there's our internal zipper pocket, our zipper panels, our side panels, our side pockets, our bottom, our zipper tabs for the front, the back accent, the handle, the connectors, and our straps. For the hardware, you need 3 zippers, one for the front, one for the main, and one for the internal. You need 2 certain size from the pattern of webbing, and you need 2 slide adjusters, strap adjusters, 2 D-rings, and 2 square rings is what I use. So those are all the pieces that will go with this. I did forget one piece, I believe. I think I need to cut, I need to cut my front pocket piece, another piece. I forgot it out of the gray. And I'm going to be adding a zipper cover, and I forgot to cut that also. So I will be right back. I'm back. So this front zipper cover, we're going to cut, that's not part of the pattern. So we're going to cut it at 7 3/4 by 1.5 inches, because you're going to fold it in half and sew this into the zipper, front zipper. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I've made quite a few of these, so I don't follow the pattern. But the first thing I like to do is prep all of my pieces. So I need to, that goes together, and I like to put all my pieces together. So this is the back all goes together. This is a zipper pocket, needs to go with the lining, can go in the box. This is a slip pocket that will go with the lining piece, can go in the box. And if you clip them together, then they'll stay together. So that's another lining piece. These are zipper panels. Get my zipper panels together. we'll go ahead and put the bottom in there because don't need that. All of the side pieces don't need right now. Your tabs can go with your front. The side panels can go. Here's both of our zipper panels. Can go on top. We'll go ahead and prep our straps, our connectors, our hanging strap, and the accent piece goes with the back. And that can go in the box because we'll do that after the front. And then this piece, oh, duh, is the front for the zipper. And that can go right on top. And that's the order that we will do. So let's prep this foam and get it basted down. That way, I mean, I could have cut out another piece, but foam is not cheap. So if I can find a way to use all the pieces I got, then that's what I'm going to do. I haven't done this before. I just saw it as a recommendation on Facebook. So, and then just like that. And then our top piece will go on top, which let's try stitching it down and see if it'll stay. Now you can, because my front piece is all cotton except, and I ran out of bobbin, is all cotton except for the zipper cover. You can touch this with the iron and to just let it sit down, give it a little bit of stability. I normally don't, but it looks like I might with this just to make sure it stays down. What is that? Okay, I'm gonna have to fix my bobbin just, I don't know where that came from. Looks like a piece had fallen out. So let's see if that will fix it. So what I'm going to do is, whenever I get my front piece on, this is the glue side, so I'll just hit it with my iron to lay this flat, and it should be good. So there is my foam. We can set those off to the side because those won't get basted on until after. So I'm going all out with this and having white thread on black vinyl. So let's see if we can get you a better angle. Pull you up some. There we go. There we go. So I'm using double-sided tape I got from Waywack. If you go there, the tape is pretty, it's actually a nice price. It's the shipping that got me. So, but it is the best double-sided tape in my opinion, and I've went through 4 or 5 different brands, but you have to search for leather tape. So for this strap, this is the hanging strap. All I'm doing is putting the double-sided tape down the middle, and I'm going to meet this both sides to the middle with leaving a gap so it will fold nicer. Just like that. And then what we're going to do is fold this in half and then an inch from each edge is where we're going to start and stop. So we're going to start and stop right there, and right there, because the ends are going to be sitting flat, so you need to have enough room. So fold that in half, and you're only going to stitch down one side. Okay, we're just going to stitch down one side. About 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I'm going to use my finger as a guide. Okay. There we go. I actually like that white on that black. And this is what's going to be sitting down on the back panel. So then I'm going to take my lighter and burn these threads. All right, and set that aside for the back. Next up, connectors. So again, I'm going to put double-sided tape down the middle, and on these we're only going to be folding towards the middle once, so you can meet both sides all the way. Sorry about that, my son had came in. So again, double-sided tape, and we're just going to meet the sides to the middle all the way without leaving a gap. I wish I could do a tutorial whenever I was home alone, but for the most part, I work full-time during the day, and then everybody's home at night, so no gap. Do that for both sides, and then we're going to just stitch down each side about 1/8 of an inch for our D-rings. These are for the D-rings that will go on the back panel. And you can, instead of starting and stopping, you can just turn it, because you're not going to see that anyway. And then start from the other end and go back down. Because I'm using such a contrasting thread, I'm trying to make sure that I am staying straight. So there we go. So now we're going to take our D-rings. I just like to go ahead and add them on there. Keep them all together. 1, 2. I'm going to add them on here. There we go. And just add a clip. And they will be ready for the back panel. So there we go. Alright, next is the straps. So we're going to take double-sided tape straight down the middle. Okay. Straight down the middle. And we're going to leave the gap in these because we have to be able to fold them in half. So I can't remember what the pattern calls for the straps, but I cut mine 4 inches wide. to get down to 1 inch. I think she does call for 4 inches wide. I go at a nice pace, but hopefully slow enough where you can actually follow along. Okay, I like to do my straps one at a time. So I'm going to fold them in half and start down the open side. Sometimes it doesn't want to fold exactly right, so I just have to work it. If you're using cotton or cotton lycra or anything but vinyl, you can actually iron it down, and then it would go super fast. But I have kind of moved away from a lot of cotton in my bags, mainly just for the main pieces. But for straps, I like vinyl. Okay, then we're going to just trim this to make it even. Now, don't put it up yet because we are going to add our square rings on here. So there we go. There's the strap that's done. Probably be easier if you mark it, but I just eyeball it. Go big or go home, right? So there we go. Just eyeball it. And then we just I apologize if you can hear that movie in the background. It's my kids watching TV out in the living room, and I have the door closed. So if you can hear it, I apologize. But they spend enough time in their rooms. I did not want to tell them to go to their room while I do this. And I really need to get this bag done because I'm leaving for work for 2 weeks. And then I have a wedding. So it was either do a tutorial tonight or not do one at all. Now, if you have one of these magnets, it would be a lot. You could put it right here to keep it straight. I don't really, because it moves around with my walking foot. And I just follow the edge of my foot anyway. I'm going to turn it. Turn and come down. Okay. Trim these. Alright, So now what I'm going to do is take my D-rings. This is all still prepping for the back panel. Get your, not your D-rings, your square rings, which, there they are. And we're going to add them to an end. And fold over about an inch down. All you want to make sure is that they're even on both. So if you do 1.5 inches on one, it's got to be 1.5 inches on the other. If you do an inch, you get my meaning. So across it a couple of times. Let's move on to the other one. I like to prep my pieces first, like my straps and things like that, because I feel like I've actually made progress and it motivates me to keep going. So I'm going to burn all this thread. I'm using bonded polyester Tech 69 from Amazon. It's the Cellric, I believe. All right, so these are complete, and put them to the side. All right, so now let's work on our fronts. So you need your zipper tabs, the zipper cover. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. The front piece, the bottom, and the lining pieces, zipper pocket piece. So first thing I'm going to do, I'll work from the bottom up. So I'm going to do my zipper pocket. I need my zipper. I was about to do a boo-boo. So the front bottom zipper is going to be black because my main zipper is white. All right, so the way I do mine, I like to have at least 1/2 inch on each end of my zipper for a zipper tab. So this piece is 9.5 inches. So you take off 1 inch, I need an 8.5 inch zipper. Yeah. Because, and to verify, because I sometimes can be wrong, you can always get a ruler, lay your piece down, right? Okay, so we're at 9.5. Lay your zipper down, take your tabs, and if you want less than 1/2 inch, this is a good way to tell how much of your zipper tabs you're gonna see. Because you also, okay, see, that's why I'm glad I thought about it, because your seam allowances are also 1/2 inch. So we got, that's 9, and then we have 8.5, right? And then that's 1/2, and then we want it to show at 1 inch right there. So what you can do instead of cutting it is you can clip it down where you want it. Right sides together. And going this way. So there we go. Move my zipper down. Okay, so we want it right sides down and 1/2 inch seam allowance with 1/2 inch zipper tab shown. So I'm going to put this at the 1 inch mark. And that's how my zipper tabs should look like. And I'm going to stitch down the sides at the width of my zipper foot, which is 1/4 inch. That's not going to reach. I'm sure there are easier ways to figure this out, but it's just the way I've been doing it. I don't measure it. I just stick everything down and lay it out and see where I want my zipper tab. So all I'm going to do is just fold over this zipper tab and top stitch. And this is where you can, if it's not straight, you can get your tab straight. And then I'm going to top stitch at 1/8 inch. Same for the other side. Get it straight. Hold your threads. And then what you can do after that is lay it back down. Actually, what's easier, let's do it this way, is fold your zipper in half, matching up the zipper tabs, and mark your center. On both sides, mark your center of your bottom panel piece. There we go. And then just match up right sides down of your panel. Put a few clips on it to hold it down, and then you can trim. So what you can also do, yep, it's all even. We'll trim. I'm not going to trim it all the way because I like to always leave extra. There we go. So if you wanted the right measurement for it, I would use a 9.5 inch zipper. I mean, that would be perfect for this. Okay, so now we're going to do right sides together for your zipper. Take your pocket piece, lay it on top, line it up, clip it all down, and we're going to stitch in, sew in this zipper. Move my zipper head. Flip it to the back. My zipper is actually opening from right to left, but that will be okay. So I'm not going to iron it because I don't want to take the chance of hitting these vinyl tabs. So I'm just going to, like I've done in previous videos, pull and keep it straight. I'm going to top stitch at 1/8 inch seam allowance. Lay it all flat. And there is one. Now, I forgot to prep the zipper cover. So you can fast forward through this if you're not doing it. But if you are, I'm just taking a piece of double-sided tape. Actually, it'll hold it, because what we're going to do is just fold it. I should have put the double-sided tape at the end. We're going to fold it completely in half. Just like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just baste or top stitch this down from one side down to the other. Don't need to worry about this because it's going to be closed whenever we put it in the zipper. And I'm just top stitching about 1/8 of an inch. Again, just following my foot. If anything's uneven, it's all right. You can just trim it. I've only ever made one zipper cover before, so hopefully, oh, look, it covers just right at the zipper tabs. So there we go. That's all I needed it to do. You don't want it covering all the way across because then you run the chance of it going into your seam allowance. So I like for it to just cover the zipper, and I'm going to baste this on so it does not move. I have it where I want it. Actually, let's trim down any uneven pieces. In another video, she folded in the sides and did it, but the sides of this is white that goes with this panel, and I like the extra color, so I'm gonna leave it. Okay, so we're going to match this up and clip it. And I'm going to baste this down. Move in my zipper head. Be careful pulling those clips off because it could end up moving your zipper tape. I've had that happen before. Here we go. Just like that. See, it covers the sides. So now we're going to take the top piece, put it down, matching up the sides. Clip that in place. Probably be easier if I did centers, but I've done enough to be able to tell where the side is. Just like that. If it doesn't add up all the way, you just pull it over. And then you can go ahead and baste this down, or you can put in your other pocket piece. And clip that on. And now we're going to sew it all together. About 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now again, if you are using a domestic, I would just be wary with all of this vinyl. I would suggest having a walking foot on your domestic machine. It can be done. I sewed in the net using vinyl and foam and all the interfacing, just like the pattern calls, on a domestic. It can be done. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is flip up the top piece. Leave the lining down and flip up this top piece, and we're going to top stitch all the way across at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to close my zipper to keep it straight. Again, you could iron this, but this is too much vinyl, so I don't want to take the chance of hitting it. Got to remember, this will be the first thing everybody sees, is the front. She didn't really ask for a front zipper cover, but I think it will separate this panel enough. There we go. So you have Darth Vader and then the symbol right in the middle. I like how it separates that, and it just makes the symbol pop and allows it for it to be its own identity, I guess. And then here you have your zipper pocket. All right, the front is done. So we're going to take our piece of foam. Oh, no, it's not done. We need to close up the zipper pocket. So if you cut it both the same size, like I always do and always forget that I do it, one of your pieces is going to be longer than the other, that's fine. Just trim it off. So we're going to sew this completely closed. Make sure you can get as close to that tab as possible. And trim off your excess. Yeah, I have made close to 10 of these, and every single time. Oh. And I missed a little bit of piece, so let's close that up. Open it up. You can put your hand in there, see if you missed anything. You will have a little hole right here on the tabs. I don't foresee any, it will pretty much get closed up when you do put everything there, because you have that seam allowance right there. So I'm going to get everything straight. So just cut everything down, anything that's out of order, so it looks like a panel. So then what we're going to do is take our foam, put our foam on here, line it all up. And this is where, if you are using a domestic, you could zigzag around the edges of your foam so it does not get caught in your seam allowance, and that will reduce bulk. So I'm just going to clip all the way around And for the most part, you want most of your front panel on this foam. Pull it, stretch it all out so it doesn't bunch up, because I'm using cotton, and this is a walking foot industrial. It does not like cotton at all. So I have to be careful and make sure that there are no pieces where I'm just sewing cotton, or it will eat it and look like a jumbled mess. Okay, so all we're gonna do now is just baste all the way around. About, I do 1/4 because your seam allowance is 1/2. So 1/4 will still be within the guidelines. And 1/4 also gives me enough room in case some of the foam doesn't line up correctly, because we just did do a lot to this front panel. So there we go. There is our front panel. Now what we're going to do whenever it gets closer is we're going to round these edges, but we're not going to do that just yet. You could do it before you add the foam. I always forget again. So I just do it right before I'm adding my zipper panel on here, and then it doesn't matter about my basting stitches. So front panel is done. We can set that completely aside. Next, we're going to work on the back panel. So you need your accent piece, your slip pocket pieces, your handle, your straps, and I believe that is it. So first thing we're going to do is make the bottom half. So set all of that aside and your top. So bottom half, right sides together. And we are going to top stitch this together at the very top at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now let me throw some notes in here for the ones that have not made this bag before or not real confident in making any adjustments. So if you notice, I don't do templates. If I make my own templates, I use Dollar Tree cutting boards. Anyway, so this piece of paper is one of the pieces, one of the fewest pieces you get. I think you only get 2 pieces to this pattern. So for the back panel, I do it just like the front. I figure out how far I want my slip pocket to be, and then I just fold this down. So this, the way I did mine is if you cut this whole piece out right here on your back piece, just cut it out like you're supposed to, so you have one big piece. I then cut it at 7 3/4. So I take my whole piece, measure up, and cut straight across. That's all I do. And then I have my bottom slip pocket and then my top piece. So that's, and you do the same thing for the front. You don't even have to do that if you don't want. If you want a bigger slip pocket, you can make it bigger. You just have to be careful because you have to add all in your top pieces. Okay, so we got this back piece. Now we're going to flip it out. Roll your seams because we're going to top stitch this down. I'm using waterproof canvas for lining. That's pretty much all I use ever since I got an industrial, because I don't have to interface it and my industrial machine will handle it without eating it. It's too much. Like, I can't just sew on a single layer of waterproof canvas. It will eat it just a little bit, but not as bad as cotton. So we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. You know what? We forgot one of the pieces of the hardware, a magnetic snap that we need to add onto here. So we need just one. Take your back piece, fold it in half, find your center, and I'm going to do 1 inch from my top stitching line. Let's see if a pencil will do. Yep. And I'm going to take this tool. I got this from Michael's. I'm just going to poke a hole, but be very careful. What you can do here is get some hard plastic or something, put it through there. I do this after because that way I don't have to measure and account for my seam allowance. So I just sew it together and then do it after. So it makes it easier on me. Now I'm just going to poke some holes right here. And I am going to install the male in on the inside, on the back piece. And the female in will go on the other piece. Okay. Then we have that. It looks a little bit wrinkly, so I might iron this down later. So this piece is done for the moment, but we're just going to push this off to the side because we're not completely done with it. Now, the other back piece. So you need the top. See, this is where we just cut it. And I understand that we're taking away from our seam allowance by just cutting it, but we're making it up by making the slip pocket have a little gap in between. So we're going to take our top piece, right sides together on the back. So I don't use vinyl as a complete back piece with this on top because that's just too much. So I just use waterproof canvas, my lining. And honestly, this, I wing the measurements. I take my full piece like this, right? So I take my full piece and I put my pieces together just like this. And then I separate them for as big as I want the gap. I usually do about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And then I just cut a lining piece that will cover it because I can always trim it down. But if you want a hardcore measurement, we are at the bottom half is 10.5. Well, this is the very bottom. The top of it is 9.25 by 9.25. But again, you can do just 10.5 all the way around and then just trim it or use the pattern piece. I used the pattern piece and then trim it. So again, we're going to stitch this, sew this on at 1/4 inch seam allowance, just like we did the bottom. Going to fold this up with your seam allowance to the top piece. and we're going to top stitch on the top piece. Again, seam allowance towards the top piece. That'll give it its nice little poof look, is what I call it. Okay, make sure it's straight. Go slow, because white on black, you will see every little mistake. But I picked that out because I did my last book bag with red on black and it was so pretty. So I figured, hey, I'll do white on black. So there we go. Now, what we're going to do is take your bottom piece, and what I like to do is take the pattern piece, put it up underneath. This way you can tell that it's going to be this size, and then we're going to move this down until it matches. There we go. See? So that's how big my gap is. It's actually about 3/4 of an inch, which is fine. So you can do it from the top too. Actually, move it up just a tad. And this is where we are making up the seam allowance. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to clip it down and trim it so I don't have to worry about moving on me again. Again, there's probably better, easier ways to do it out there than this. So I apologize if you end up having any questions or I didn't explain something good enough. Please send me a message or comment below. All right, so there we go. Now we can't forget the female part. So for this, what I like to do is just put it on there. Put my piece on there. And then lay it down where it lays naturally, and then push. Make some indentations. You can also do it like I do. And you could always just measure it, which is what we're going to do because this doesn't want to do indentations. So it's going to be 4 inches down from the top. Make your little marks. I think before I got this tool, I was doing it with cutting these holes by folding it in half, like folding it like this and making a little snip. But sometimes my holes would be a little bit too big. So I was walking around Michael's one day and saw it. So there we go. Perfect. And it matches. Okay, so it's not done yet though. Now we need to find the middle of your panel. And I do it about 1 inch. So I lay a ruler down right here, because rulers are 1 inch wide. Take one of your straps, and it's going to go with the square ring facing the wrong side up. So it's going to lay flat just like this with this up. So this is laid down. I have the 3 inch mark in the middle. I'm going to go over 1 inch. just move these out of the way. I'm going to go over 1 inch and lay my strap down. Here we go. And clip it down. You can go ahead and baste it if you want, but I don't. I just go ahead and start clipping everything. Then we take our other strap, again, with the wrong side facing up towards the front, and go over to the 2-inch mark. So you should have 2 inches in between your straps. And we're going to clip that down. Now, what you need next is your strap, hanging strap. Your hanging strap. And you're going to press these ends flat. And I just like to hold one of them at a time and line it up with the bottom. I don't know if you can see this. So, just like that. Line it up with the bottom. See? Right there. That's all you're going to do. Line it up. And I do one side at a time. That way I don't have to worry about it. So you're going to start on one side. Back up. Start on one side and we're going to baste across. I like to do a couple of back stitches across the beginning and end of everything. All right, add that other side. There we go. Thread did not like all that vinyl together. Sometimes, because I use a lot of double-sided tape, my needle can be a little finicky about thread. So it takes me a minute. Let me trim that off, where I just put my spit all over it. Okay, so we can just go ahead and pull all these pins off, our clips, and there it is, right there. So now we still got to add the accent. So for the accent, you're gonna take it, add your double-sided tape to the middle, and we're going to just fold it to the middle one time. That's it. Move y'all up some more. You do not need a gap because we're just going to only folding it once. Just like this. And what I like to do is then put double-sided tape down the middle, so I can just put it on the back piece and I don't have to worry about it falling off or holding it down. Oops, let me just cut this. Twisting up on me. Okay. Here we go. And then go ahead and take this piece off so it's out of the way. And then what I like to do is it's a 1/2 inch up. I tried to get at least a 1/2 inch up, but still covering all of this. Yep. You want to make sure you get enough of this hanging strap. There we go. So now we're going to stitch around, and I'm going to do just little bit back stitches again over the straps. I'm going to start from this side, and I'm going to top stitch at 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm sorry, 1/8. Don't worry about it not being even, because you're going to actually trim that off. And then I'm just going to follow the pattern to come down. Here we go. So this is done. Now we just have to add our foam and our connectors. So I'm going to we can go ahead and clip these down so they're not so long. I'm going to get this on here as good as I can. Like I said, this is the piece that I kind of just threw together. And we're going to baste this on, and as we baste it, we will add our connectors. Again, don't worry about it being uneven. I'm just going to trim it down. Okay, take our connectors and a ruler. And you're going to go, just lay your ruler flat, and I'm going to go 1 inch up from that and catty corner it at like a 45-degree angle. I'm going to clip it again for the other side. Just lay my ruler flat because my ruler is a 1 inch wide ruler. And I'm going to catty corner this at a 45-degree angle and clip it. Now, you can stand back, make sure that they are the same, and they are. All right. Now we're going to baste all the way around. Just find a gap of about a 1/4 inch. I will also close up your slip pocket. Just go around. And now we just trim everything off. And it should look like one. Don't trim your connectors, trim around, and don't trim off your main piece. Just anything that's out of your main back piece. Okay. Get that foam out of the way. Okay, so your back panel is done with your slip pockets. And there's the connectors, your straps, everything. So this is done. And I'm really enjoying this white on here. Okay, so we can set that aside. Next up is going to be your zipper panels. And I believe that we are going to leave it at this and call this part 1. So we did the front panel with the zipper pocket, zipper overlay. We did the back panel with the slip pocket and the connectors, the straps, and the back accent piece. Again, I didn't iron on the foam. I basted it on. Next up, in the next video, part 2, we will work on the zipper panel. So we will do the zipper panel. And I followed another lady's tip on the zipper panels. If you've already cut it out according to the directions, I'm sorry. It will still work. But I cut mine exactly the same. Just like she does. And it just makes it easier. Also, another thing I do different than everybody else I've seen from my backpacks, is the only thing I interface is any cotton and those 2 pieces of foam. I do not interface my zipper panels or my side pockets or side panels. I have before, but it makes it harder to sew around the curve, and then I didn't like it, the feel or the look of it. But ever since I stopped adding the interfacing to the zipper panel, it actually makes a world of difference. So if you haven't done it yet, don't do it if you want to follow my instructions. All right, so until next time.